Hello again guys, and welcome to another video on how to draw a realistic eye in coloured pencil. My weapon of choice for this is the Derwent Lightfast pencils, but if you're a polychromos user or you use something else, then it might still be useful, maybe. And I know I've done a few of these before. I've even got a 4-hour tutorial somewhere on my channel, so if you want to go watch that you can. But when you use a new medium, it requires a new method, so let's get stuck into it. So okay then guys, I'm quite happy that the camera's actually picked up the line art this time. It usually doesn't when I'm doing colour work because I have to keep my line art quite light so any of the colours that I lay down don't get messed up by it. And I didn't use a reference for this, I just drew it off the top of my head because they're imprinted in my brain. But if you want to use a reference you can, and if you do, all you want to do is stick to the general shapes of the eye. It doesn't have to be amazing to start off with, you can do your refinements as you go. When you're ready to start laying down some colour, and this is all about layering. I tend to layer until I can't feel my fingers anymore, but you want to put down the lighter colours first. And the eye I wanted to produce was going to have purple, it's going to have pink, it's going to have yellow. So I chose some of them colours first. The only dark tone that I've laid down is the black of the pupil because I knew it wasn't going to be anything else but black. And this layering is progressive from light to dark. And as you can see on the screen right now, I'm gradually getting darker. And I'm doing that by using their companion tones. And don't worry, I'm going to explain what I'm talking about. Basically, if I put down a yellow, I can use something like a Mars orange as a darker version of that tone to give it more contrast. If I use a violet, I can layer over with a purple, it gives it more contrast. And I basically do this over and over until I eventually reach black, and black is the last thing that I layer down. Oh, and if you wanted me to call out all the fancy names of these pencils, you've got no chance because some of them I can't even pronounce. But I have listed them in the description and where I use them. Let me explain the white pencil, which is pretty much useless unless you really want a smooth look to your artwork. I layer it over the top of most of my work and it makes it look smoother. It'll also lighten the colours a bit. It's also good at blending two opposing colours together, like purple and orange, or yellow and blue, for example. If you want stark highlights, you basically got to leave the paper white or use a scalpel, and I'll explain how I use a scalpel later on in this video. As you can see, I've just finished blocking in the whites of the eyes, which is a term that's always made me laugh because the whites of the eyes aren't actually white, they're more of a dull grey colour. And the reason why they appear white is because the surrounding colours are a lot darker, so it makes that eye appear brighter. If you ever decide to colour pick someone's eyes, you'll realise that the whites of the eyes have a lot of colour, and I generally colour pick out the iris, so I think I had some purple into the whites of this eye. On the last piece I just did, I added some green into the whites of the eye because it was very green themed. And also, if you use the light grey, it'll also make the iris pop out a lot more too. That iris is looking nice and realistic now, so I've decided to move on to the upper eyelid. And at some point I've decided that she's going to be female, so she's got some heavy eyeshadow which is themed from the actual iris itself, so I'm basically using the same colours. And as I said before, how your darks make your lights. As you can see, I've put some of the eyelashes in at the top and it's been blended into the iris, and it's making that eye really stand out with heavy contrast. This is the part I was talking about earlier where I said you could use a scalpel to create quite harsh lighting. And the pores of the upper eyelid, for some unknown reason, reflect the light differently. It's actually quite stark. And all I'm doing is flicking away the coloured pencil back to the white of the paper. It does take practice because if you get it wrong you can end up going through the paper and then you'll ruin your artwork and then you'll start crying. So I'd take a few practice swings first on a piece of rough paper until you get it right. Okay, so it's eyelash time. and you can really only do this last, in my opinion, because I find it pointless if you draw out your eyelashes where they're going to be, do them first and then draw all your skin tones around each eyelash. You know, you'd be there for 12 years and my drawings take long enough as it is. So it's probably my favourite part, drawing the eye, because it'll make the eye really pop off the page once you get it in there, and it gives your eye a finished look. It also allows you to make a judgment call on whether your eye's going to look awesome or look like crap. And also, it doesn't matter that it's taken me probably 4 hours to get to this point, because as you can see, once the lashes are in, it's been well worth it. I decided to keep the colour scheme going on the lower lid, this bluey purpley colour that's going to sit under the eyelashes. You can also see when I was talking about the whites of the eyes, how the white of my eye right now looks a lot brighter than what it was. It actually looks white in places, but it isn't. It's just a light grey colour, and that's, like I said, it's because the colours around it are a lot darker, which makes them look white. But you can also see, when I mentioned I used colours from the iris as shadow in the whites of the eyes to represent the shadow cast by the top lid. It works really well, you should give it a try. I very quickly blocked out the skin tones on this, really, because I wasn't too fussed about them. I just want to show you how you can draw an eye. So they were quickly blocked down so I could get the eyelashes done on the bottom lid. But if you are interested in looking at how you can do skin tones, I do have a video on my channel that you can look at. I'll leave a link in the description to it, and I'll leave it in that little eye button in the top right hand corner, so you can go watch that if you like. And last but not least, because I do fill in the rest of this artwork but it's really rushed and it wasn't really the point, so I haven't bothered to add it, is that I come in with the scalpel again to add in some harsh highlights on that bottom lid. And I'm doing this because it'll create the illusion of a wet glossy eye. And can you imagine if I didn't actually use the scalpel at all, how different this eye would look? So if you've never used a scalpel on your coloured pencil work, I'd definitely give it a try. It can make your eyes look really realistic. Okay then guys, that's me done for this video. And as you can see, I really rushed the eyebrow and the rest of it. And at some point I think I headbutt the camera when the camera shakes, so the least you could do is like, subscribe and comment, and thank you so much for watching.